like to call the meeting to order. Welcome to the September 29th, 2020 Rainbow District School Board regular board meeting. Please be advised that this meeting is being live streamed and will be archived. We're going to start the meeting with the roll call. Trustee Dubosky. Trustee St. Jean.
Present.
Trustee Gibson.
Present.
Trustee Cosmerly. Trustee Morrison.
Present.
Trustee Dewar, present. Trustee Hunda.
Present.
Trustee Stringer.
Present.
Trustee Clement.
Present.
Student Trustee LaFrance.
Present.
Thank you very much. Motion that the agenda for the regular board meeting of September 29th, 2020 be approved. Moved by Trustee Hunda, seconded by Trustee Morrison. Poll vote, Director Blazik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Trustee Clement.
In favor?
Trustee Dubosky, absent. Trustee Dewar.
In favor.
Trustee Gibson.
In favor.
Trustee Hunda.
In favor.
Trustee Cosme, absent. Trustee Morrison.
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean.
In favor.
Trustee Stringer.
In favor.
Student Trustee LaFrance.
In favor.
Carried.
I'd like to welcome Trustee Dubosky, who has joined us. Thank you. Preliminary declarations of pecuniary interest. We'll move right along to the presentation. Summer programs for students, and I'll call on Director Blazik to introduce the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, like we've done on an annual basis for the last several years, we've have an opportunity to speak to our summer programming. And so we'll have a couple of speakers tonight, led by the superintendents and, of course, their staff supporting them. So we'll start off with Superintendent Wachnick.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to share an overview of our summer programs with you this evening. Joining us today are Principal of Special Education Programs and Services, Colleen McDonald, Principals of Summer Schools Program, Carrie Wilson, Dave Sainamore, and Ashley Conley. As you see in your board report, our presentation this evening provides a report on 5 different summer programs: 2 special education programs, kindergarten camp, the elementary grade 1 to 8 program, and the secondary program. There are a number of reports to share with you this evening that illustrate student achievement and well-being. Our summer programs support Rainbow District School Board's strategic directions, reaching minds and touching hearts. Our programs enable students to reach their potential by providing engaging learning opportunities and by setting high expectations. Our programs also help us to build student resilience and to nurture their emotional well-being. At this time, I invite System Principal Colleen McDonald to speak to the special education summer programs.
Thank you, Superintendent Wachnick. And I'd just like to say I'm delighted to be here this evening. So special education offered 2 programs this summer. The Summer Intervention Program, which ran daily from July 2nd till August 28th, and it supported students with literacy and numeracy gaps. The Summer Transition Program, which ran half days from August 24th through August 28th, and this program serves students with significant special education needs, as well as students struggling with mental health challenges. Special Education Summer Intervention Program goals focused on supporting students with achievement gaps in literacy and numeracy. By committing to a minimum of 1 hour per day or more, students were able to bridge the summer months and avoid summer learning loss, which we know is a concern for our students with achievement gaps. On this slide, we see a list of the 4 intervention programs that we offered during the summer. First one is Lexia Core 5 and Lexia Power Up. These are both web-based reading intervention programs that provide differentiated literacy instruction to help struggling readers become proficient readers. Some of the work was done online independently at the student's own level and pace, with teachers monitoring and supporting. Also, teachers further offered virtual intervention lessons to support students as needed. Second intervention was Empower Reading, which provides daily direct instruction to small groups of students in decoding and spelling. The program was offered through synchronous lessons by Empower trained teachers. Our third intervention was the Leveled Literacy Intervention, or what you might hear referred to as LLI, which provides direct daily small group instruction on literacy comprehension. Teachers delivered LLI to small groups of students through virtual synchronous lessons. And finally, we have IXL Math, which is an online math intervention program that helps students to master essential math skills at their own pace and grade level. Like Lexia, the teacher's role is to support and monitor the student's progress and to provide periodic intervention lessons. Teachers did this through the virtual lessons using the Google Meet platform. Teachers for each program also offered technical support as required to students and their families with both the devices and the programs. The intervention programs were available to students from all grades and all Rainbow schools. They ran for 9 weeks, which bridged the entire summer. 12 teachers were hired to deliver the intervention programs. 6 teachers worked full days and 6 worked half days. In total, 258 interventions were offered to our students. Some students participated in one intervention, while others participated in several. So some students may have done Empower Reading and also at the same time worked on the Lexia program. Or if their need was more in math and reading, they might have done Lexia and IXL Math. As you can tell, this took a great deal of commitment from our families, who carved out time every day all summer to ensure their child's engagement in the intervention. This certainly paid off, as all students who participated achieved some level of success. Rainbow students from 24 elementary and secondary schools participated in the Summer Education Program, Intervention Program. The chart you see now on the screen shows the number of literacy and numeracy interventions students from each school participated in over the 9 summer weeks. The blue section of the stacked bar graph represents the number of literacy interventions from each school, and the red section of the stacked bar graph represents the number of numeracy interventions. This chart illustrates student results in the 9-week summer intervention program IXL Math. A total of 72 students participated, and of those, 81%, or 58 students, achieved growth in their math skills by moving up 1 or more levels. 19%, or 14 students, remained at the same level. However, they participated and solidified their current skills, avoiding summer learning loss. This chart illustrates student results in the 9-week summer intervention program, Lexia Reading. A total of 126 students participated, and of those, 56% or 70 students progressed one or more levels within the reading program. Each level can contain upwards of 80 units that must be completed to move on to the next level, so this is a substantial amount of work. 44% or 56 students remained at the same level. However, as said earlier, they completed a substantial number of units within their current level, and this progress is certainly significant for their overall reading development. This is one of the benefits of using Lexia Reading, as it supports students to build skills at their own level and pace. This chart illustrates student results in the 9-week summer program, Leveled Literacy Intervention. In this program, the teacher provided daily synchronous literacy comprehension lessons to small groups of students. If a student connected daily for the 9 weeks, they had the opportunity to receive 40 lessons. A total of 52 students participated, and of those, 88% or 46 students progressed one or more levels within the reading program. This resulted in the vast majority of these students moving one full grade level in reading comprehension. 12% or 6 students remained at the same level. However, they still completed a substantial number of lessons, and this progress is significant for their overall reading development as they return to school in the fall. This last chart illustrates student results in the 9-week Summer Empower Reading program. This program was offered to students who had been previously enrolled in Empower Reading prior to school closures in March. Because the Empower Reading program requires 110 one-hour lessons, new students could not be enrolled in the 9-week summer program. However, thanks to 3 Empower-trained special education resource teachers, 8 students had the opportunity to complete their program. In this powerful intervention, teachers provide synchronous Empower lessons to small groups of students. These lessons were a full hour daily, so again, it took great commitment from students and their families in order to participate. As you can see from the graph, a total of 8 students participated, and of those, 6 were able to complete the entire Empower program. The 2 students who were unable to get to the end of the program still benefited from 41-hour lessons and are now completing their program in school this fall. Thanks to their participation in summer learning, they do not require many more lessons to complete the program, and with no learning loss over the summer, they are able to jump right back in quickly. The special education transition program had 2 components: summer assessments and back-to-school transitions. Due to school closures last spring, we are unable to assess students who were scheduled to receive psychoeducational and speech and language assessments. Through the months of July and August, Chief Psychologist Dr. Patty Ross and speech and language pathologist Shelley Buckland conducted face-to-face assessments at the board office with students to ensure reports could be written, parent meetings could be held, and strategies could be shared with staff working with these students this fall. In total, 15 psychoeducational assessments and 9 speech and language assessments were completed. The summer transition program was designed to support our students with significant special needs and or anxiety to get back into school. It was open to students in kindergarten to grade 12. The focus of this 5 half-day program was solely on routines and procedures that students needed to re-enter the school system smoothly. It focused on the health and safety aspects of our COVID-19 protocols and allowed students the opportunity to get used to wearing masks, physical distancing, and seeing their staff in PPE. We offered the program in 9 sites across all 3 of our geographical areas: Espanola, Manitoulin Island, and in Sudbury. On these slides are the sites that the programs were offered in and the staffing that was assigned to each site. It was specifically based on the needs of the students within each program. In some of the program, there were a number of students with significant needs related to autism or developmental delays that required a higher staff-to-student ratio, while other programs had students who required supports with anxiety, and in that case, social worker support was the right fit. Each class was designed to offer a transition program based on the needs of the specific students within them. Transportation was provided by the parent guardian, and the programs ran in the mornings from 9 to 12 daily for 5 days. This concludes my presentation. I thank you for the opportunity to share the programs offered by special education this past summer. At this time, I would like to invite Vice Principal Ashley Connolly to present the Kindergarten Summer Camp program.
Thank you, Principal McDonald. Good evening. For the 5th year, we offered students entering kindergarten for the first time the opportunity to attend kindergarten camp. This was a half-day program that ran for 5 mornings during the week of August 24th to 28th. This year, we had just over 200 students who attended kindergarten camp in Rainbow schools. Kindergarten camp was designed to introduce children and families to Rainbow schools. We wanted to support children in transitioning from home to school and give children time to settle into their new learning environments. Through their experience at the camp, children would be introduced to some of the staff and become familiar with typical routines. We knew that this experience would help children become excited about learning and support them in developing new friendships. We also wanted to reassure parents and students that Rainbow had implemented enhanced health and safety protocols for COVID-19 so that they could feel at ease sending their kindergarten child to school. This year, kindergarten camp was offered at 17 Rainbow schools with locations in Sudbury and Manitoulin Island. Kindergarten camp was led by qualified Rainbow teachers. Where more than 10 children were enrolled, the program also included a designated early childhood educator. Throughout the morning, children engaged in many of the activities typically experienced in kindergarten. They had the opportunity to participate in literacy and numeracy activities and had large blocks of time to explore the classroom and to play. They engaged in outdoor inquiries and activities. The program also included a healthy snack each day, which was provided by parents. The next 2 slides capture how parents we surveyed felt about the kindergarten camp experience. I will give you a few minutes to read what they had to say. We also asked our full-time kindergarten teachers what impact kindergarten had on the children who attended. Their observations are recorded on the next 2 slides. Clearly, kindergarten camp provided amazing benefits to our students. It successfully smoothed the transition from home to school and welcomed students and parents into the Rainbow family. This brings our presentation regarding kindergarten camp to a close. I would now like to introduce Carrie Wilson. Carrie was the principal of Code Summer Learning Program and is the vice principal at Chelmsford Valley District Composite School.
Thank you. The Code Summer Learning Program ran for its 10th year in Rainbow. Moving into a virtual format this year created unique challenges, but we creatively found ways to engage young learners and their parents in Summer Learning 2020. The program was funded through CODE, that's the Council of Ontario Directors of Education. This year, funding was extended to include grades 6, 7, and 8. In providing students the opportunity to attend summer learning virtually, we had several overall aims. We hope to minimize summer learning loss by providing an extended school year and additional instruction for students who may have required further development in basic literacy and numeracy skills. We offered opportunities for students to feel connected to peers and teachers at a time that many children struggled with feeling isolated and socially disconnected. Staff worked to ensure that our program reflected the diversity of our learners, including providing opportunities to infuse Indigenous content and teachings. This year, we hosted 6 virtual classes serving 105 students from 25 different schools across RDSB. A committed group of educators accepted the challenge of delivering meaningful virtual programming to the elementary panel in the summer program. Program leads included Richard Duffy, Emily Crusoe-Parnell, and Allison Tryon. Their work was key in the implementation of programming, professional development, and resource acquisition and adaptation for the virtual setting. Each virtual classroom was staffed with 2 qualified teachers, 1 numeracy and 1 literacy. Each teacher was assigned 1 post-secondary student mentor who supported the learning in the virtual classroom. Synchronous learning was provided in all grades for 2.5 hours a day. This was a significant change from the expectations of virtual learning during the school closure period, in which grades 1 through 6 engaged in asynchronous learning for a maximum of 1 hour per day. Technology training and support was provided to all families to ensure access to the program was not hindered by technical difficulties. A daily recreation component was offered as an optional portion of the program this year due to the virtual format. To meet the needs of the virtual learning environment, technology was made available to all of our students. Special consideration was given to our youngest learners in grades 1 and 2 to ensure that technology promoted easy access to instruction, resources, and also allowed for movement breaks. The daily schedule included synchronous learning in large and small groups, led by teachers and student mentors. Asynchronous learning was also scheduled to allow for independent practice, during which time individual conferencing took place to address specific learning needs. The program offered a low instructor to student ratio of 1:4 or less at all times. This allowed for intensive interventions in the 3-week period of the program. Engaging launch pages were developed to ensure easy access to instruction and online resources. Providing engaging delivery was key to the success of the program. Shown here are examples of launch pages used in the grade 7-8 class and the grade 1 class. Hyperlinks allowed students to access Google Meets, resources, and the recreation portion from one location. Number lines supporting math instruction and word games for literacy are examples of interactive and engaging resources that were utilized. For the literacy program, baseline reading data was collected from home schools. However, due to the school closures, the data was in many cases no longer an accurate reflection of the students' abilities. Some students had demonstrated learning loss, and some had made gains from the most recent data provided. Discrepancies were noted as students engaged in the program, and establishing accurate reading levels for all students became a priority. Our primary goal for the literacy program shifted to providing accurate independent reading levels to home schools for the reopening of schools in the fall. The instructional focus for reading, however, remained the same. In the primary grades, students are developing proficiency with learning to read. We focus specifically on the development of decoding skills, and teachers dug deeper to uncover learning gaps with phonics. In the junior grades, there is a greater emphasis on reading to learn. The focus is on the development of reading comprehension skills. In the primary division, 73% of students demonstrated growth in reading skills as measured by the Fontes and Pinnell benchmark assessment system. 100% of students working toward the acquisition of letter sound and sound combination knowledge demonstrated improvements. For the junior intermediate division, accurate reading levels were recorded for all students. Growth was recorded for 62% of the students. But with that, accurate pre-program measures were not obtained for all students. Therefore, growth was not measurable for the full cohort of the junior intermediates. Students from grades 1 to 8 self-evaluated their literacy learning with an average score of 7.2 out of 10, and parents evaluated their children's literacy learning with an average score of 7.93 out of 10. A narrow focus in numeracy was selected to promote a measurable impact on student learning across grades 1 through 8. Selected pieces in quantity relationships and operational sense that comprised important trajectories in mathematics were targeted. The Knowledge Hook Math program was piloted in the summer learning program to support the instructional focus areas and will be implemented board-wide this school year. Overall, aggregate data is shown here for the big ideas, which included quantity relationships for grades 1 through 8, counting for grades 1 through 2, addition and subtraction for grades 1 through 6, multiplication and division for grades 5, 6, and all operations for grades 7 and 8. Average student growth for each of the grade cohorts, as well as percentage of growth demonstrated within each cohort, shows very positive results. Students self-evaluated their math learning with an average score of 7.8 out of 10, and parents evaluated their child's learning in math with an average score of 7.88 out of 10. The optional recreation program was delivered daily from 1 to 2 p.m. with activities geared toward different age groups. A variety of live and pre-recorded activities were offered, including Science North workshops, dance lessons, basketball drills, cooking lessons, and art workshops. An average of 10 students per day attended the afternoon recreation block for synchronous programs, with a high of 21 students and a low of 4. Asynchronous or pre-recorded programming was also offered, but we were not able to track the number of times that those programs were viewed. Amongst students who attended the afternoon recreation programs, they rated them with an average score of 7.9 out of 10. Access to the Seesaw app allowed teachers and the principal to regularly communicate with parents. Parents played a key role in the success of students in grades 1 and 2, as they required higher levels of support to navigate technology, stay on schedule, and on track with their learning. Facebook and Instagram were updated daily to gather feedback, share program information, and promote engagement. Families were invited to participate in daily challenges, which promoted extensions of learning, physical activity, and summer fun. Social media created an extension of the classroom by engaging students, parents, and the broader summer learning community. Rainbow's summer program was the first in the province to share program successes on Code's summer learning website and Twitter feed, which are home to inspiring testimonials, updates, and news items about the effectiveness of virtual summer learning programs around the province. Dan Young joined the summer learning team in the role of Aboriginal support worker. He worked directly with the grade 7 and 8 literacy program. He helped teachers infuse culturally relevant materials in their literacy programming. As shown here, he delivered Treaty Week with daily treaty facts during small group instruction. Dan also promoted and participated daily in the recreation program with our students. The virtual summer program had a significant impact on the educators involved. Since teachers entered the program with varying skill sets related to the virtual setting, they were able to select the professional development sessions that met their needs prior to the program. PD for the Knowledge Hook Math program was delivered prior to the program as well as ongoing to support its implementation related to our areas of focus. Technology support was available to implement new teaching strategies and to troubleshoot along the way. 100% of the teachers indicated their teaching experience with the online summer learning program would support them in further online learning environments and in the regular classroom. Parent survey results and feedback throughout the program was overwhelmingly positive. Parent testimonials are listed here. I'll pause to allow you to read. And there's one more page. While in-class and face-to-face instruction is the optimal setting for student learning, our committed staff delivered a highly engaging 3-week summer program that made a significant impact on student learning and mental well-being. I want to thank the staff, students, and parents for their willingness to adapt to a modified learning environment this year. This brings a close to our presentation of the Code Summer Learning Program. I'd like to invite Dave Sainamore, principal of the Secondary Summer Learning Program, to the podium.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Based on the success of previous years, this is the 7th year offering a summer rainbow e-learning program. The Ontario Secondary School Literacy course, normally offered through blended learning at Beardown College, was delivered fully through e-learning, and 3-credit co-op was reduced due to monitoring restrictions, but additional co-op opportunities were provided through virtual summer co-op. This year saw expanded course offerings for credit recovery, and for the first time, students could upgrade a passing mark if they wanted to improve the mark through a 55-hour summer upgrade course. And there were 13 students who took advantage of that opportunity to upgrade a passing mark. There is continued growth in student participation and the number of students finishing summer programs over time since e-learning, blended learning, and expanded co-op opportunities were introduced. Naturally, there were fewer students taking advantage of summer co-op due to COVID-19 restrictions. It is important to note that the majority of students participating in the Rainbow Summer programming are from the Rainbow Board. When we look at the breakdown of Rainbow students to the students of other boards, as you can see, 86% of student participants are from Rainbow schools. This has been consistent over the last 3 years. We look, the greatest number of students, summer school participants from outside the Rainbow Board are coming from the Sudbury Catholic Board due to participation in our virtual summer co-op offering. Our summer e-learning programs make it easy for students from across the north to access Rainbow Summer programs. Other boards have moderate numbers of students participating, including Algoma District, Bruce Grey Catholic, and Nipissing Parry Sound Catholic District School Boards. Of the 429 credits that were attempted virtually and completed over the summer, you can see that 391 credits were earned. Despite the virtual learning environment, we had a 91% pass rate. This is a slight decrease over last year, but the high pass rate shows the commitment students and teachers gave to their program over the summer. Despite the pandemic, summer programming continues to prove to be a match to student needs and interest and has resulted in significant student achievement. The lack of face-to-face interaction directly correlated to the results of credit recovery programming in summer school. The traditional style summer program, which provides in-class instruction, greatly benefits students who are struggling. Generally, trends show that students are most likely to be attempting to recover credits in math, science, and English over the summer. Participation rates in credit recovery are highest in the junior math and junior English courses. This was our 6th year running our very own Rainbow e-learning summer school. As you can see, our students experienced outstanding success with 172 credits granted and a 92% pass rate. Summer e-learning courses are all new credit courses, and the most requested course in the summer is English. E-learning provides reach-ahead opportunities for students in both the college and university pathways and provides opportunities for students to graduate on time if they are short a credit. It should be noted that 3 students earned their diploma because of summer e-learning this year. In 2020, 180 co-op credits were granted despite the ongoing pandemic. Co-op credits taken in summer school are all new credit courses. These credits represent reach-ahead opportunities for students in both the college and university pathways, as well as opportunities for students to graduate on time if they are short elective credits. There were 5 students this year that earned diplomas because of summer co-op. In disaggregating the success rates of particular subgroups of the participating population, you can see that all groups of students were successful over the summer at a rate of upwards 80%. Interestingly, trends identify that 35% of summer participants were identified to be at risk by their home school. 12% of our participants were First Nation, Métis, and Inuit students. 17% of our students were identified with special needs, and 61 of the participants were in grade 11 or 12. This last trend is telling for us, as it shows the demand for summer school opportunities for our senior students. As you can see, Rainbow secondary summer programs are having the desired impact. We were able to graduate an additional 10 students this summer. 2 students graduated because we offered courses for students attending Barrytown College. 5 students graduated because we offered cooperative education, and 3 students graduated because we offered new credit courses through e-learning. In total, 131 students have been able to graduate through participation in summer school programs since 2013. The number of initiatives implemented and continued this summer have had a significant impact on student success and student credit accumulation. Part of the measure of success of this program and these new initiatives is the number of students that have been put back on track to graduate and deemed less at risk as a result of their participation. I'd like to thank you very much for supporting the growth and development of Rainbow Summer programs as we work to improve the opportunities for Rainbow students to experience success. At this point, we would be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. I recognize Trustee Gibson. Anybody else? Okay, Trustee Stringer, and then Trustee Morrison. Trustee Gibson?
Thank you, Chair Dewar. Mine was an overall question, nothing specific. I was curious about the funding for these programs. Are we provided with specific funding for summer programs, or is this something where we utilize some funding that we have some choices around spending, and is this something that we choose to spend money on, because obviously the success of the program? I know the code portion is funded by code, but I'm talking about the other programs. So I'm not sure who to direct that to, sorry.
Thank you, Trustee Gibson, through you, Madam Chair. So from a special education standpoint, the dollars that were used to pay for the programs that we ran were directly from the Ministry of Education. And they were new monies given to us due to the pandemic and to make sure that we were addressing gaps that our students might have due to the school closures and make sure that their needs were being met. So it was one-time funding from the ministry.
Thank you very much.
Just to add to that,
Yes.
as Trustee Gibson said, the summer elementary program was funded through CODE, the Council of Directors of Education. As well, the secondary summer program is self-funded. In other words, students are put on enrollment registers, and through their enrollment and their attendance, the monies flow from the Ministry of Education to the Rainbow District School Board. And thirdly, the kindergarten program is funded directly by the Rainbow District School Board.
Thank you, Superintendent Neumann. Supplementary, if I may, just regarding around the secondary programs, because I see that we serve students from other boards. So those other boards are funded from the ministry, and then we would receive a payment for conducting the program. Is that how that works? And do our students reciprocally do the same and go and do programs at other boards?
Sorry, the students who are on our register become our students. So it doesn't really matter that they come from a different board. Once they are sitting on our register for the summer, they are our students. So we are funded directly for them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Stringer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Superintendent Washnick, please. Just a comment, the summer intervention programs, actually, I was going to just speak to the intervention programs for special education students, but as we went further into this discussion, I can see that this was all the programs. The results are very significant. I'm finding it's very interesting to note and that these programs have been so successful regardless of the fact that they are online. So kudos to parents, to the students, to staff on these achievements. They're fairly remarkable in unusual times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Trustee Morrison?
I'll keep my comments brief, Madam Chair. I just want to ditto what Trustee Stringer has just said. It's pretty amazing that, in fact, all the fact that in the middle of the world's reality that we're in the middle of, that they had to shift gears and provide basically programs to both that are remediation in effect and also are moving kids forward and helping all of those kids at the secondary level and helping some additional graduates occur. And all of us have been concerned about things for years, about things like loss of learning during the summer, never mind being out of school in the regular routine for 6 months this year. So I too want to just ditto what Trustee Stringer has already said and really thank both the leadership team, the SOs who are in the room giving the presentation today, but also the principals of the program and their staff, because I know they're here representing their teaching staff, that the DECEs and the EAs that have been involved in the program, Aboriginal support worker as well. I see fabulous results in this very demanding time, and that's very impressive. Question I have through you, Madam Chair, and I guess it's to the panel of the SOs who are leading this. How do we take the lessons learned out of these fabulous summer programs, intervention programs, and apply them to the virtual learning that we're doing this school year?
Through you, Madam Chair. In short, through professional learning, Trustee Morrison, so some of the really great practices have been noted, and we are adding those as best practices to professional learning that is going forward. Specifically, some of it's going forward this Friday, October 2nd, and you will be finding that teachers will be learning from each other and supporting each other as we continue in the remote learning environment.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I will also add my thank yous to the administration and to the very many staff who provided our students with outstanding summer program experiences in spite of this being such a historically difficult circumstance. So it was good to hear that even the teachers took advantage of the opportunity to do some learning as well. So I thank you very much. Report from the in-camera committee of the whole meeting of the board is nil, as there was no meeting. Old business, previous minutes, motion that the minutes of the regular board meeting held on Tuesday, September the 1st, 2020, be approved. Moved by Trustee Stringer, seconded by Trustee St. Jean. Poll vote, Director Blazik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Bob Clement,
In favor.
Trustee Dubosky,
Trustee Dubosky, we can't hear you. I think we have a little bit of a technical glitch there, Director Blazik.
Okay.
Maybe you can move on and
Sure. Trustee
in
Dewar?
favor.
Sorry, Trustee Dewar?
Trustee Dubosky has indicated she votes in favor, but she's going to log off and come back on again.
Okay.
So you can continue.
Okay. Trustee Dewar?
In favor?
Trustee Gibson?
In favor.
Trustee Honda?
In favor.
Trustee Morrison?
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean?
In favor.
Trustee Stringer?
In favor.
Student Trustee LaFrance?
In favor.
Carried.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. There are no tenders or requests for proposals, reports from recommendations from board committees, and we have a report from the audit committee. And Trustee Morrison, would you like to say a few words before I call on Superintendent of Business Bazinet?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The audit committee during the pandemic period, we had planned on meeting in the March to June period, of course, but that was during quarantine. So we were unable to meet. So we had our meeting on last week, September 22nd. So I want to again thank all the audit committee members, and including our two external members who were able to attend. Also, we had KPMG representative at the meeting, and we also had our regional internal audit manager, Melissa Dodge, who was also in attendance. So I wanted to thank everybody at a very short notice to come together. And I'll hand it over to Superintendent of Business right now. Just want to remind trustees that you do have the information that was reviewed in the audit committee as part of your backup information. And once Dennis finishes his introduction, Chair Dewar, I may have a couple additional comments to make from a trustee perspective. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Bazinet.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. Within your package, you do have a board report. As was previously stated, KPMG, Derek, our lead engagement audit person, was there to provide some additional details on the year-end audit that will be performed for the fiscal year that ended August 31st of 2020. So it indicates in your board report some of the key areas that they will be reviewing. There is a motion, Madam Chair, that is accompanying this board report as well. There's also a second report that's in your package. It is the multi-year internal audit plan, and this was presented by the regional internal audit manager, Melissa Dodge, and you can see that it outlines a 3-year period, the deferrals from the 2019-20, what is planned for the current fiscal year of 2020, 2021, and also what is planned for the fiscal year 2021-2022. So with that, I'll redirect to Trustee Morrison.
Trustee Morrison, did you want us to put that motion on the floor, or do you want to speak first?
I would like to move the motion on behalf of the committee. and then I'll make a comment.
Okay, the first motion is that the 2019-2020 external audit plan be approved as recommended by the audit committee, moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Stringer, and I'll call on you, Trustee Morrison, to speak.
Again, pleased to support this motion, Madam Chair, as is the audit committee. The KPMG went through in details the parameter they're using. This is the standard auditing process. They need the okay from the board, which will occur tonight, assuming that the motion passes, so that they can proceed to prepare the audited statement. As Superintendent of Business has already indicated, this is on the fiscal, our books basically, so to prepare our financial statement for the 19-20 fiscal year. So they'll be starting that audit now shortly, and that is what comes to us at our December meeting then, is the result of that audit. It's their financial statement for the year. The only thing that I wanted to say about the external auditor, just from a trustee perspective, because we always like to pick up on things that are changed and new. Industry standards, of course, didn't really change this year. The only thing that is going to change in terms of their audit plan from previous years is they won't be looking this year at school-generated funds. And that was a decision that was supported by the audit committee. There's a couple of reasons for that. One is our movement, of course, to schools' cash online system. Most cash that's being collected now at schools is being done through a cash online system. And also because of pandemic, we think there's going to be far fewer money transactions where there's actually dollars or loonies and toonies crossing hands at a school level. So this year, they're not going to be auditing the school-generated funds. Next year, they will as well. Next year, they'll be back auditing that. And the whole hope is that to remove the qualifications from our audit statement. Trustees will remember every year we get a qualified audited report, and that's because of that $4 million of money that's generated through school-based funding. So the goal would be next year is that they would be able to remove that qualification from their assessment. So I look forward to receiving that financial statement in December. So I just wanted to highlight the change, Chair Dewar, because otherwise it's the same process, the same risk assessment that's done every year. But the only change was to the school-generated funds this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Call the question, Director Blazik. Oh. No, Director Blazik, would you wait, please? We have Trustee Gibson has raised her hand.
Thank you, Chair Dewar. Through you, either to yourself or Chair Morrison, I was disappointed to find out about the audit meeting that it had taken place after I found out about it, or it had already taken place. So I was just curious if there was any public notice of the meeting, or if there was a reason the trustees weren't informed of when the meeting was taking place, and whether it was a virtual or an in-person meeting.
I will call on Trustee Morrison as chair of that committee.
Sure. There was the meeting was called after we had the last board meeting. So the last board meeting, always in our agenda, we have upcoming meetings. There was no audit committee had been scheduled at that time. It was scheduled just a couple of weeks ago, and it was obviously based on the availability of the committee members, including our two external people and KPMG. It was a combination of, that was the first time we did it that way. I did go in person. KPMG attended online. Our regional internal audit manager attended in person. So we had a fairly small group in the boardroom. The boardroom was open. Everybody had masks on and we were socially distanced. But we did not have the full committee attending in person. Others attended virtually through Google Meet. And I wanted to thank and acknowledge at this point Trustee Stringer, who attended through Google Meet that day, and I think the other staff members and our two external people were also in attendance in person. So that's what happened.
Thank you, Trustee Morrison. If I could just request that in future, if meetings are called after the agenda has been issued, if there's just some way that perhaps trustees could be notified and the public, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Blazik, would you like to call the question, please? Poll vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Trustee Clement?
In favor.
Trustee Dubowski,
In favor.
Trustee Dewar,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor.
Trustee Honda,
In favor?
Trustee Cosmerly. Sorry, absent. Trustee Morrison,
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
Trustee Stringer,
In favor.
and Student Trustee LaFrance.
In favor.
Carried.
The motion is carried. Motion that the 2020-2021 internal audit plan and the multi-year internal audit plan be approved as recommended by the audit committee. Moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee St. Jean. Trustee Morrison?
Only a brief comment, if I could, through you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to highlight any changes to this. So just as is already, I think, been indicated in the introduction by our Superintendent of Business, our internal audit group was definitely impacted as a result of COVID. So this is the good news is this is a small group. There's a regional internal audit manager, and there's 2 internal auditors that work for her. She's only had 1 internal auditor for several years now. So the good news this year, she did manage to staff up to find the 3rd auditor. So that was a good thing. The downside was this year, and the way we were impacted, is that a couple of the projects that the internal audit team was going to work on with Rainbow were scheduled in the March to June period. If you remember, this is a group that does internal audits for 8 boards in Northeastern Ontario. We're one of 8. Our 2 were scheduled in the March to June period. So those activities were deferred until this year. And that's part of the change in the plan, is we've deferred those 2 things to this current year. The new thing that was added, though, as a result of the discussion was having the internal auditors take a high-level review of, I'm trying to find the words to describe this properly, security of student information in this virtual learning environment is basically what we're going to have a look at. And this has been requested by several of the boards to have a look at this, is go to this more virtual format. And there's some concern, of course, and it's not about the software packages that are being used. It's about student security when you've got names and faces on screens and so on. So we're going to have a look at that for us this year as well. So that's the result of the internal audit work. And the other 2 things that she had planned for the end of last year are now going to occur this school year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Blazik, poll vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Trustee Clement,
In favor.
Trustee Dubowski,
In favor.
Trustee Dewar,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor.
Trustee Honda,
In favor?
Trustee Morrison,
In favor.
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
Trustee Stringer,
In favor.
Student Trustee LaFrance.
In favor.
Carried.
Motion is carried. New business, current expenditures borrowing resolution. Motion that the current expenditures borrowing resolution as attached be deemed to have been read 3 times and approved. Moved by Trustee Honda, seconded by Trustee Morrison. Superintendent Bazinet, did you have anything to say about this one?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. This is an annual event by which it allows the board to have a line of credit in the event that it would need to go out and do short-term borrowing to meet its financial commitments, which could be related to timing differences between receipt of revenue from the Ministry of Education and the running of, in particular, payrolls. Just a note is we have not needed to exercise this line of credit definitely in the last 5 years. So therefore, it's in the event of. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that explanation, Superintendent Bazinet. Trustee Morrison.
I too would just like to thank Superintendent Bazinet for that explanation. And all I want to say is clearly he's getting experienced with this group of trustees because he's now anticipating the questions that we ask on this every year. So thank you, Superintendent Bazinet.
Thank you very much. Director Blazik, poll vote.
Trustee Clement,
In favor.
Trustee DeBoski,
In favor.
Trustee Dewar,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor.
Trustee Hunda,
In favor.
Trustee Morrison,
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
Trustee Stringer,
In favor.
Student Trustee LaFrance,
In favor.
carried.
Motion is carried. Next item is OSTA ACO fees, and there is a report attached which includes an invoice. The invoice is for $1,385.75. Motion that the 2020-2021 membership fees in the Ontario Student Trustees Association be approved. Moved by Trustee Hunda, seconded by Trustee St. Jean. Are there any questions? Poll vote, Director Blazik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Trustee Clement,
In favor.
Trustee DeBoski,
In favor.
Trustee Dewar,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor.
Trustee Hunda,
In favor.
Trustee Morrison,
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
Trustee Stringer,
In favor.
Student Trustee LaFrance,
In favor.
carried.
Thank you very much. Request for leave of absence that Judy Cosmerly be granted a leave of absence from the September 29th, 2020 board meeting. Moved by Trustee Morrison, seconded by Trustee Stringer. Poll vote, Director Blazik.
Trustee Clement,
In favor.
Trustee DeBoski,
In favor.
Trustee Dewar,
In favor?
Trustee Gibson,
In favor.
Trustee Hunda,
In favor.
Trustee Morrison,
In favor?
Trustee St. Jean,
In favor.
Trustee Stringer,
In favor.
Student Trustee LaFrance,
In favor.
carried.
Motion is carried. Thank you very much, Director Blazik. Director's remarks.
I'm just going to shift to the podium.
Great.
Good evening, trustees. We are 3 weeks into the school year, and I would like to begin by commending our students, our families, and staff for working together to keep everyone safe. Health and safety, as always, remains the first and foremost priority. Given the rise in cases across Ontario and a few more confirmed cases in our district, now is not the time to be complacent. We all have a role to play in keeping COVID-19 at bay. We must remain diligent in following our health and safety protocols. Again, wash our hands, wear a mask, keep a safe distance, limit our social circle, and stay home when sick. You will recall that this was the advice from Public Health Submarine Districts when David Grew and Anik Prue joined us at the Strategic Planning Committee meeting on September 15th, 2020. You had a lot of questions and a lot of information was shared. As we move forward, we will continue to remain in close contact with our partners at Public Health. We have asked Public Health to provide a flowchart that our schools can use to help guide decision-making. We look forward to receiving this resource soon. As you will see in this chronology, the guidance on screening and testing can change from time to time as policy directives are updated in response to what's happening with COVID-19. The province announced a school screening tool on September 16, 2020. As you know, we adopted a questionnaire that was approved by Public Health submarine districts. It was based on the province's original assessment tool. We decided to maintain our questionnaire, which has been widely distributed, while we sought input on the new school screening tool from Public Health. We reviewed our questionnaire with the school screening tool to ensure alignment. Also on September 16th, the first school closure was ordered in Ontario. An outbreak was declared at a secondary school in Renfrew after 3 staff members tested positive. Naturally, we kept a close watch on the situation as it evolved. The following day, our weekly teleconference with the Deputy Minister included a debrief with the Director of Education of the Renfrew County District School Board, which was very much appreciated. This occurred on Wear Pink Day in Rainbow Schools, and we took this opportunity to send a letter to parents and guardians to practice kindness, patience, and gratitude as the pandemic progresses. In the letter, we encourage students to be vigilant in the community with physical distancing and wearing masks, especially in groups. We invited parents and guardians as our partners in education to reinforce health and safety protocols with their children. Health and safety is a shared responsibility between the school, the home, and the community. Later that day, the Deputy Minister sent us details about the new school screening tool, along with 3 posters on staying healthy and safe at school and on the bus. Here is the graphic that accompanied our letter to parents, guardians, and was posted on our website. Please notice the pink. A week after the launch of our elementary remote learning program, Principal Emily Caruso-Parnell spoke with CBC Radio to share her perspective on starting up a virtual school in a matter of a few weeks. Staff need to be creative in order to engage students online. She was certainly seen her share of crazy hats and hairdos. I would like to thank Principal Caruso-Parnell for accepting this leadership role. I would also like to acknowledge staff in distance learning, who, like their colleagues in the class, are rising to the challenge in these unprecedented times. On September 18th, we checked in with our secondary principals on the implementation of health and safety protocols. We invited them to share best practices, particularly for managing lunch periods inside and outside of their schools. We emphasized the importance of ongoing education about physical distancing and mask wearing, not only at school, but when students leave the schoolyard. We emphasize the importance of ongoing education about physical distancing consistently and ongoing. All of our eyes are watching out, and as a community, we have an expectation of what we need to do to keep ourselves and each other safe. And as I said previously, we must remain vigilant at all times.
Director Blazik, we're not hearing you.
You will in a second.
Oh.
There we are. Okay. There we are. On September the 18th, we marked the completion of our first 10-day cycle or 2-week learning block for secondary students. By all accounts, students seem to have adjusted to the new timetable as we look to limit contacts within the school day. Also on September 18th, the Sudbury Student Services Consortium announced that 14 routes would be canceled in the 3rd week of school. The consortium also announced that effective September 21st, 2020, All students from kindergarten to grade 12 who travel to and from school by bus will be required to wear a non-medical mask. Exceptions will be allowed for students with health problems or special needs that prevent them from wearing a mask. The province provided additional guidance on fire drills and lockdowns. I will chat more about this in a moment. As we entered the weekend, Ontario reported its first elementary school to close due to COVID-19. It was in the Ottawa area, which has experienced a steady increase in cases. On Monday, September 21st, we participated in the regular teleconference between the Minister of Education and school board chairs. Ongoing dialogue remains important as we move forward in the midst of the second wave of the pandemic. We held a directors' meeting with principals and vice principals on September 22nd. In addition to health and safety, personal protective equipment, enrollment and budgets, we shifted the conversation to our core function, program, instructional leadership, and our board and school improvement plans. We continue to focus on vocabulary, comprehension, and automaticity. We're now in our second year of consolidation, or what we sometimes call Year 3++, bringing us to Year 5 of our strategic effort to build literacy and numeracy skills in students. Strong literacy and numeracy skills are the foundation for all learning. The Professional Learning Day this Friday, October 2nd, will be school-based. A half day will be devoted to school improvement plans. The other half day will focus on COVID priorities. On September 23rd, OPSPA invited communications officers from across Ontario to participate in a Zoom call. It was an opportunity to hear firsthand what's happening in other school boards. Unlike our district, many communities in Ontario have many cases of COVID-19. When cases increase in the community, the chance of having a case in a school goes up exponentially. If we keep COVID-19 out of our community, we can keep COVID-19 out of our schools. That's the message we heard from our local medical officer of health, Dr. Penny Sutcliffe, in an interview on CBC Radio just yesterday. And that's why we can't let our collective guard down. We participated in a weekly teleconference call with the Deputy Minister on September 24th. The Deputy Minister acknowledged that some parents were having a difficult time choosing between distance learning and face-to-face instruction, making planning particularly challenging for school boards. There has also been an increase in the number of parents and guardians who are opting to homeschool their children. The province will continue to provide PPE to schools and cover the costs. We place orders on a month-to-month basis. School boards across Ontario are experiencing a lack of supply teachers. In fact, the Ontario College of Teachers sent a letter to retirees asking them to reconsider or actually to renew their membership. While other school boards have explored the hiring of unqualified teachers, we are currently managing the need for supply teachers within our existing resources and continue to monitor the situation closely in our schools. Also on September 24th, the First Nations Advisory Committee held its first meeting of the school year. On September 24th, the province of Ontario unveiled new COVID-19 testing guidelines. Effective immediately, Ontarians should only seek testing at assessment centers if they are showing COVID-19 symptoms, have been exposed to confirmed cases of the virus as informed by our public health unit, or exposure notification through the COVID Alert app. A resident or work in a setting that has a COVID-19 outbreak as identified and informed by local public health. And finally, eligible for testing as part of a targeted testing initiative directed by the Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Long-Term Care. That means asymptomatic students and staff can no longer be tested. This prompted us to review our screening protocols. On September 25th, we held a Google Meet with our school administrators and advised them that we would now be using the provincial school screening tool for students, staff, and visitors. This replaced the COVID-19 self-screening questionnaire. Our website was updated, including the reopening guide. We sent a message to staff and a letter to parents and guardians. we issued a news release to the community to use the school screening tool for COVID-19 as part of their morning routine. Also on September 25th, the Sudbury Student Services Consortium announced the cancellation of 14 bus routes due to driver shortages for the 4th week of school, which began yesterday. I will now provide an update on a few specific topics. We continue to monitor enrollment and will adjust as needed. The ministry has stated they are looking at considerations for September reorganizations and will provide school boards with an update. Until further direction, we continue to follow our practices in alignment with collective agreements. As we mentioned previously, some parents are having a difficult time choosing between online and in class. The numbers, therefore, can be fluid. At this time, we have approximately 1,732 students in elementary remote learning and 6,956 in elementary in-person learning. With the exception of new registrations, students are now committed to learning either in person or online. Any request to change will be considered in mid-November. The Student Senate will follow a blended model for their meetings, this year under the leadership of student trustee Ava LaFrance. Students will have the opportunity to participate in person or online. We value student voice and look forward to hearing their perspective during this unprecedented time. Bear in mind that our in-person meetings respect the physical distancing measures that we have in place, much like our board meeting tonight. It is customary at the beginning of the school year to have an annual general meeting of the Parent Involvement Committee, or PIC. This year will be no exception. This may also follow a blended model to allow participation online and in person, depending on provincial guidelines for indoor gatherings. The AGM will feature a presentation on education in the era of COVID-19. Our guests will include representatives from public health and Rainbow Schools. Turning to special education. The Special Education Advisory Committee met virtually on September 16th. The committee received an update on the summer intervention and transition programs, as well as a reopening plan. The election to determine roles within SEAC will take place at the October 7th meeting. The committee has chosen to continue to meet virtually for now. There are currently 2,233 students identified with exceptionalities, including 320 students who are learning remotely. Students continue to be supported by their homeschool resource teacher, as well as the 3 resource teachers and special education consultant coordinator assigned to the Rainbow Elementary Virtual School. IPRC's, again, Identification, Placement, and Review Committee, and the IEP, the Individual Education Plan, meetings have been scheduled for all students with exceptionalities. To date, 209 students are being homeschooled, including 27 secondary students and 182 elementary students. These are families who have submitted a letter of intent to homeschool in accordance with PPM 131. Turning to Safe Schools, emergency and crisis response procedures for fire and lockdown have been updated due to the pandemic. The Ministry of Education provided school boards with direction on conducting drills. A discussion, visual demonstration, or combination of both will be used to provide an overview of the emergency and crisis response plans, including identifying an emergency procedures and roles and responsibilities. Drills are conducted while maintaining physical distancing and wearing a mask. The responsibilities of staff and students are outlined through discussion and/or visual demonstration. Teachers conduct drills within classroom cohorts. All emergency and crisis response drills, example fire and lockdown, hold and secure and shelter in place, are aligned with public health advice and measures. Other programs operating within the school, for example, childcare and early years programs, have been notified of the changes to the emergency and crisis response plans. And this brings this evening's update to a close. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Director Blazik. Trustee Gibson.
Thank you, Chair Dewar. Through you to Director Blazek. Thank you for the information about staffing. I've got a couple of questions around enrollment and staffing. I've noted that the homeschooling numbers have gone up by just over 50 students, and the remote elementary learners have decreased. So I was just wondering if we knew, did some of those remote learners switch to homeschooling after trying out the program, or those two numbers not related at all? We've just had extra people that enrolled or moved around. Can you just give a little bit of an explanation about how those numbers came to be?
I'm going to turn that over to Superintendent Noble.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Chair Dewar. As Director Blazek alluded, the numbers are very fluid between face-to-face instruction and remote learning. One of the things you may remember is that students were allowed to be granted an exemption from synchronous learning. So that's something that has come into play. To the best of my recollection, we are at 86 elementary students who have requested an exemption from synchronous learning. So right now we are in the process of trying to establish practices for that. We are looking at providing paper package learning through the virtual learning environment for grades 4 to 8, and the teachers individually will prepare paper package learning for students in kindergarten to grade 3. So there's that's happening. We're also experiencing numbers of students who are experiencing anxiety in a face-to-face environment requesting a move to the remote learning environment. As well, we are experiencing students who are frustrated with the remote learning environment requesting to return to face-to-face instruction. So the best way to describe what's going on right now is it's really fluid.
Thank you, Superintendent Odell. That definitely gives a little more context. I can see there's people going in all different directions, basically. So thank you. Regarding also the staffing, Director Blazek talked about that we're managing our teacher supply, that we don't have any shortages there. And I just wondered if you could give some information about French teachers in particular. As you may or may not be aware, in the remote program, there's no core French learning going on because my understanding is there's no available teachers, qualified teachers. So I was just wondering, I did see the announcement from the province today, and that's good news for the future, but I was just wondering where we are on the current shortage regarding qualified French teachers and if there's any light at the end of the tunnel there.
So Superintendent Burgett will take this question.
Through you, Chair Dewar, we, as an update to that situation, all applicants for French positions for the elementary virtual school were hired. So since then, we've posted twice to try to get more applicants for the French positions, and we've also emailed every one of our supply teachers to encourage them and make them aware of the opportunity to teach in the elementary school virtually in French. Having said that, we are going to send out a second message to that group in addition to the second posting. And at this time, anyone who applies will be strongly considered for those positions, but we are managing our overall supply teacher needs. But in French, as in many parts of the province, we are experiencing some challenges with French qualified applicants. It could be that some people come back through the offer through the Ontario College of Teachers. That remains to be seen. Should that happen and they're willing to work, we will quickly put them to work. In the meantime, we always practice in our board for years on end the established practice of having French qualified teachers teach in French to make sure that we maximize the number of people available to serve the needs of our French language courses and students.
Thank you, Superintendent Bourget. And I was just wondering.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
Trustee Gibson, you have another question?
Yes, just supplementary around the French, if I may. I was just curious if we're looking at any other options regarding delivering some type of French instruction, like asynchronous materials or something. I know there would be a problem with marking and actually, quantifying if there's not a teacher involved, but is there anything that we can offer to parents of remote learners who are, to fill that gap?
Through you, Chair Dewar. Yes, we are. We are looking at exactly that, some asynchronous delivery, but we do have to have the availability of a teacher to prepare lessons for kindergarten students to grade 8 students. Assessment would be a problem, so we are looking at eventually the reorganization of some of our teachers in hopes that we can have access to a French teacher to provide these asynchronous materials.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And my last question regarding enrollment and staffing is again around numbers. I was just wondering, do we have an idea or a sense of class size in terms of our in-person classes for elementary and secondary, like averages that we can share? Is there information like that that's available?
We are by the end of this week, we'll have arrived at those answers. I don't have those for you today. It's September 30th is typically, which is tomorrow. We would get all of our numbers in, and then we would start to formulate those class size averages according to the collective agreements, and of course, ensuring that we're in alignment with the primary class sizes and other measures that the ministry has laid out for us.
Perfect, thank you. So those would probably be shared at a future meeting? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, just before you leave me, there was 2 other items I wanted to share which were really important. I just wanted to remind everybody, and I think you're going to speak to it earlier, again, tomorrow is the Wear Orange and participating in the Orange Shirt Day. And again, I just want to remember that demonstrates our collective commitment to building on the ongoing understanding with regards to working with our First Nations community and our First Nations students. Again, just a reminder that Orange Shirt Day began in Williams Lake, British Columbia by the St. Joseph Mission Residential School Commemoration Project. And again, it was about this young lady, Phyllis Webstad, a young girl from the Dog Creek Reserve who attended the mission in 1973, where her clothes were removed, including her brand new orange shirt. So Phyllis's story has inspired the mission to declare that September 30th is Orange Shirt Day, as this was the time of year in which children were taken from their homes to attend a residential school. So if we can acknowledge that tomorrow by wearing orange, that would be awesome. The other piece is, and you'll recall this, I think some of you might, a couple of years ago, and I'm looking at Dennis, I don't know if it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, but we were recognized by the Ontario Teachers Pension Plan for work by our department, more specifically led by Jody Levike, and where Rainbow was recognized, and I think at the time it was a first, a second, and a third. And this year we've given another recognition, and again, it's based on the same 3 categories. So I just want to, because you can't see it, but I'm going to read it to you. In terms of, this is for the entire province, so we have 72 school boards. Amongst 72 school boards, overall data quality, Rainbow District School Board ranked first. Among the 25 EDs boards, okay, again, we ranked first. And among the 17 medium-sized boards, we ranked first. So again, I'm so impressed by our staff in terms of how they're being recognized by external sources. And so hats off to the finance department and specifically Jody Levike. So I really appreciate that, having the chance to share that with you tonight. And just another piece, and I thought, because you probably don't get to hear this quite often, because you always get to hear the more challenging pieces. Received a letter from a parent from a South End school with regards to the virtual learning. And remember, this has just started. It's in its infancy. And bear with me for a second, I'll read it to you. My children are in virtual school in grades 5, 2, and SK. Just wanted to say what an absolutely fabulous job all of you are doing to make virtual school amazing. We're beyond impressed with the level of organization, attention to detail, communication, and the amount of patience and kindness displayed by the teachers. There is a small group instruction and even one-on-one check-in sessions with our children to ensure that they and we as parents are adapting well and even thriving. The kids love it. We've been asked regularly how virtual school is going, and we have been singing your praises. This pandemic has been difficult on many people, and leaders have had to be brave and work hard to find ways to keep each other safe. Thank you for providing our children with a safe alternative to in-person class and a rich learning experience with deep gratitude. And of course, it's from the Kerr family. So again, just wanted to share that with you because we don't often get these letters. So I wanted to thank you. Usually we get the ones that are challenging, but these are really nice to receive. So I just wanted to share that with you, with the trustees. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Blazik. OBSPA Director, I know Trustee Clement, you didn't attend the AGM, were unable to, and as it turns out, Trustee Cosmerly was also unable to attend. I did get a call from her, however, that she found the time somehow to cast a vote for the president because it was a case of it's that time of year again. And just for everyone's information, Kathy Abraham has been reelected as president of OPSBA. Was there anything else, Trustee Clement, that you wanted to say?
No, just that I appreciate that I couldn't make it this weekend. I appreciate that Judy could make it. I know that she had family commitments, and we now know what happened, and I want to offer my condolences to her and her family. Virtual, I guess everything is being virtual nowadays, and how these things are being done. I went online. There's still nothing online that I can see. They're supposed to put out their, probably haven't had time yet to put all their notes together for the weekend. And when they do, we'll have a report for the next meeting. Thank you.
I thank you very much. Yes, Trustee Gibson.
Thank you, Chair Dewar. I attended both of the meetings, the annual general meeting and the regional meeting.
Good.
And I just wanted to let everyone else know, the annual general meeting was broadcast on YouTube, and the recording is still up, so you could watch it at your own leisure. So that's there if you want to catch up on it. Trustee Clement, I just thought I'd let you know. That's on the OPSPA YouTube channel. I can send the link if anyone needs me to.
Thank you very much for that. Good.
Thank you for that, Anita.
You're welcome.
Good information. Student Trustee Ava LaFrance, did you have anything you wish to report or contribute?
Sure. I mean, I think from what I'm seeing from my students at school, everyone's happy to be back at school. But it's also really, I've been seeing a lot of kids, when they go outside, I know how we were talking about how we have to focus on social distancing out of school too, because as soon as students get outside for lunch or to go outside to wait for the bus, their masks are off and they're this close together, and the effect of social distancing is not paying off outside if they're that close together too. So I feel like some of the teachers are trying their best to get the point across, but it's still a big thing that we need to focus on more outside of school, that they need to social distance too. Yeah.
So perhaps, Ava, that's your first challenge for the Student Senate.
Yeah.
Is that perhaps they could be ambassadors for or conduct reminders for our students on their time off. I know we would like to be able to provide an opportunity for students to have a bit of a break from wearing masks, but we have to remind ourselves that if you're breaking from wearing a mask, then you have to make sure your distance is there. So it is a layered approach, and good for you. I hope you, on your first Student Senate committee meeting, that you launch some kind of a campaign that can help with this. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good for you. Trustees' remarks or questions? Trustee Morrison?
Thank you, Chair Dewar. A couple of just quick things. One is I brought up some concern at our last meeting about some of the things that Eva just touched on, what I was hearing about some of the schools in particular at lunch periods when kids were going out unsupervised and heading over to restaurants. I just want to thank Director Blasek for his advice to follow up directly back with the schools. I just wanted to say that LaSalle has a really creative kind of cafeteria pass program going on, which is going to allow including all the students be able to access cafeteria services on a staggered basis. Anyway, cashless service. So there's a whole lot of creative things going on. And the other thing in terms of, I'm trying to get off COVID stuff and back into focusing on instructional practices and educational opportunities. And I guess one of the other quick things that I saw, and I'm sure there are many examples of this all over their board, but I saw New Sudbury students tramping all over the streets of New Sudbury in the last couple of weeks, and I found out these were civic students. And part of their classwork then was to send them out of the school, which is a good, we always know it's safer outdoors. And they were basically doing inventory of municipal, they were trying to identify what things were municipal, federal, and provincial. So this was part of their civics lesson, and I thought that was a really great idea. So everything from traffic signs to schools to roads to railroads, and schools the kids were moving all over New Sudbury. So if you saw kids doing that, they were in an active civics class. So that was good news. Thank you. So I just wanted to refocus back on some educational stuff. And my last comment, Madam Chair, is more of a personal one, and I too want to extend my sincere condolences to Trustee Cosmley and to Trustee Hunda, who have both suffered a personal loss in the last couple of days. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead with Chair's remarks. Students in Rainbow Schools are putting their feet to the pavement through September and October to mark the 40th anniversary of the Terry Fox Foundation. Due to the pandemic, a number of schools will host alternative versions of the traditional Terry Fox Run. A list of participating schools is available on the board's website. Parents are also reminded, I'm going to take this opportunity to remind parents that they use the school screening tool for COVID-19 as part of your morning routine. A link to the provincial screening tool is available on the board's website. Once again, this is a list that you go through. You don't send it into the school, but it makes sure that our school is as safe as our community is, and vice versa. Also, due to continuing school bus driver shortages, as you heard from Director Blasek, we encourage parents to check for weekly bus cancellations on the consortium website, businfo.ca. We have some events coming up, the first one of which Director Blasek mentioned, and that is the Wednesday, tomorrow, September 30th, is Orange Shirt Day. And staff and students are invited to show support for residential school survivors by wearing orange. This day, I'm going to add to what Director Blasek had to say about it and remind you, excuse me, remind you that this day recognizes the effects and the intergenerational impact of the residential school system on First Nations, Métis, and Inuit children in Canada. This coming Friday, October the 2nd, is a professional activity day, and there are no classes for students. On Tuesday, October the 6th, this is a big one where you should be circling your calendar. Tuesday, October the 6th, and or Wednesday, October the 14th. Parents and guardians are invited to learn about the transition back to school during a pandemic with a special virtual presentation entitled Life Interrupted, a pathway toward resilience and growth.